All right, so now we are in my sweaty ass garage and feels like 1000% humidity. But I've gotten some pretty good drums out here. So I will show you how I do that. So starting off, not necessarily good drums, but great sounding drums, which don't have to be expensive. These are SJC. You can see that badge. The sizes are 26 by 14, 14 by 10. The snare is a aluminum Alpha Omega, I believe it is called, or nope, just Alpha. 14 by 6.5, nothing unusual there, and 16 by 16. I believe that's a square. Yeah, I got them tuned pretty high, like jazz drums. They work great for me. Some of those are custom classics. Those aren't the best, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, and they sound all right, to be totally honest with you. All right, so mics. We're gonna start with the kick inside with the suspended dampening I've talked about before. A D6 in the Kelly shoe. On the outside kick, we got a D112. And right here, this will be covered with a pretty heavy-duty blanket to create like a tunnel like they did on Nevermind with a, what is that, Origin? Yes. All right, so that's the kick, snare, top and bottom, nothing crazy. We got a 57, a 906 on the bottom. And then I got a Shure Prodigy, which is similar to a 57 for a crotch mic. Crotch mics don't have to be super nice because that Mikey Musician kind of sounds like shit, but it can add some cool mid-range to the kick. Then we go to the toms. 421. Classic tom mic. Did the 3-finger thing on the toms and the snares. 421 over there as well. Can't go wrong with that. Where it gets a little weird is I am doing what I call the Blake Podracki method. So it's just a Glenn Johns. So that would be a normal Glenn Johns, but I add a second overhead. So those are all equal distant from each other, except for those two are obviously not equal. You get a super kind of stereo Glenn Johns thing, which can sound pretty cool. And as you can tell, I am not using any room mics. That is a tripod for my camera. I will show you how to kind of do a pre-mix and use the Sound City plugin to get some great room mic sound. Alright, so here I have Pro Tools open. This is my DAW of choice. I know not everybody has it, not everybody uses it, but everything I am saying should apply. As you can see, we got rid of the crotch mic. It just sounded terrible. Wasn't really usable. You know, they're hit and miss. I have done some things. What I have done is I have edited the toms. That is something I suggest everybody does. In modern music, tom bleed is just so rough. It's not usable. There's no kind of redeeming quality, unlike kick bleed and snare bleed. That can be usable and helpful. Tom bleed, it's just not nice. So, yep, just edit it. Do a little fade so everything is nice. And that's really all I've done audio-wise. So what I want to do is loop a pretty large section. And then we are going to set up the room mics, or kind of lack thereof room mics. So we got that looping. What I am going to do is get a natural sounding mix with no plugins and just panning that we will bounce, and then we are going to use the Sound City plugin. But first, let's get a natural sounding mix. Now obviously I'm not going to use the kick in because that is not a natural tone. So we've got a pretty thumping kick. Now I am going to flip the phase on the bottom snare mic just to blend in it a little bit. Just pull in an EQ, flip the phase. There we go. And I can show you what that sounds like without the phase flipped. just lose a little low end. All right, now let's get these overheads nice and rocking. And it's subtlety, because we want natural sounding mix here. All right, that sounds like drums. Let's get the rack in here. A little bit of floor. All right, now let me see what's going on with this rack. So we got the kick, snare, overheads all sounded pretty good together. Now let's check out these toms. Sounds pretty good and natural to me. So what I'm going to do is highlight the section of the song that I'm going to bounce. Make sure that only the drums are playing, which they are. Go to File, Bounce Mix. I already did a test, as you can see. We're going to call it Rooms with the Z because we're cool. Make sure it's going to the right place. Okay, so now we get rid of that. Go back to the beginning. File, Import Audio. Make sure we're in the right folder, which we are. Bounce File, Rooms 2, Convert. Open, beginning of the session, and there they are. Move those right under the overheads, and if everything is perfect, let's make them match the drum aesthetic. We can get rid of all of these. Just leave those. And look at that. We have room mics now. They don't sound like room mics, but I promise you they will. All right, now get rid of any plugins you might have used for that. All right, now this is where the fun begins. So I like to start with the kick. If you don't know what the song sounds like and you're just hearing it for the first time, you should probably listen to everything all together. But I wrote this song, so I'm very familiar with what it sounds like. So I'm just going to highlight a good section of it and play the audio. Now we'll start with the kick in. Bring that up to the level. Nice and punchy. All right. So I EQ first. That's just me. Some people compress first, some people EQ first. This is what I do. So I'm using the Lindell kind of Neve thing. This switch turns it from a 1073 to a 1084. You get some extra options. I'm using the 1084 for a lot. All right, so first I like doing the high and low passes. All right, so we're gonna cut this at 70. Hear that? It gets rid of a lot of that mud. All right, then I'm gonna try and get rid of some of these cymbals. Eight should be fine. Now we are going to go to 200 and shocker, you're not gonna believe this, we're gonna cut it about 6 dB. All right, and then we're gonna come to this about 1.6. We're gonna boost it about 6 dB. sounds pretty shitty by itself, but I promise it'll sound good once we mix everything. Now we're gonna level match, because we lost a little bit of level in the EQing. Oh, wait for the song to come back. Here we go. Now I'm going to add another EQ because there are some bands that this doesn't have that I would like to mess with. So I'm going to use an API, good old classic. I'm hearing I want a little more 4 to 6. So we'll go 5K. Maybe some 8, be a little spicy. There we go, I like that. All right, now let's match the level a little bit. All right, now we're gonna compress. So I like the 1176, it's my favorite. It's kind of what I do. All right, just gonna get the attack kind of short. That kind of fast. We're looking for about 3, I don't know if that's gonna get any buzz. Looking for about 3 dB of compression. That was obviously too much. A little less. All right, I like that. Now I want to add a little bit of secret sauce. So we're gonna go to the Soft Tubes tape, add a little glue. This is gonna go on almost every channel. Adds a nice gluing effect. Very subtle. Get a little bit of distortion, a little bit of compression out of it, and some EQ. Just wanted to kiss the red there. Here we go, there's our kick in. Let me bring it to an appropriate level. We'll do right around 5 dB. All right, now we're gonna move into the kick out, which is gonna have a lot of our beef. As you can already hear. I'm gonna do an old school kick drum trick and use a Pultec. Now with this Pultec, if you don't know, there's a cool thing. There's a cool thing where you can boost and cut the same frequency and you get this kind of low end shelf bump at and around both above and below your selected frequency. So I am just kind of guessing I'm going to go right around 60 with this. Match the levels. This is a tube. This is a tube EQ, so you can drive it a little bit. And we're going to match that. And as you can kind of instantly hear, something magical happens. Now let's bypass that so you can hear it. just brings it to life. There you go. Make the band width as big as possible. Oh yeah, night and day. There's probably not a lot of high-end happening, to be totally honest with you. So we're actually going to cut at around 8K. Nice, I like that. All right, levels. We can drive this a little bit because we're going to compress and cut some mud. I like where that's sitting. Now let's go back to the Neve. All right, got the Neve rocking, so I'm actually gonna cut some of that subby stuff because I don't think this song totally needs it. Not a lot. Yep, that's all it needed, just that little cut at 45. Yeah, I want to keep it at 45. Now we're gonna cut some of that 200 muddy. Bring that to 8K. And then it does need a little bit of life. There we go. I like where that's sitting. Let's bring over that same compressor, but whoa, turn it way down. Again, just getting kind of right around 3 to 5. Like that. Now, if we match the levels, we should have a pretty good kick sound. Oop, forgot the tape, which we can just bring over and then turn it down a little bit. There we go. Ooh, I like that. Now, we did a lot of EQing, so let's check phase. Cool, they're in phase. Don't have to flip anything. So that's obviously our attack. There's a lot of our punch. So I kind of like them even. We'll just keep them right around there. We're getting a good level. You typically want your kick to be at around 10 dB on the master. Or not 10 dB, but 10 VU. We got another kick we're going to add, so we might have to turn these down, but I like how that is sounding. All right, now time for the wild card, the tunnel. This is going to be a weird one. We'll try the Neve. I want to cut like 70, but try to... I want all that top end gone, to be totally honest with you. That's really all I can do with the Neve. Let me try an API. There's a lot of boxiness I want to get out of there. So like 150-ish, which we have there. Just kill it. lose a lot of level though, so. Even go back to the nave. There we go. That sounded pretty good. Still a little stuff I want to take out. Yeah, maybe that's some of that shit. No. I like how that's sounding. Just a little knock on the door. This high end, something's got to be done with this high end though. So yeah, we don't really need any of that. And then bring the compressor over, which will probably need to be altered a lot. Or not, just turned up. Huh, the more you know. All right, so let's get that matched. Turn it up a little bit, there we go. And then let's add the others. There's some phasiness going on with this. And there we go, just need to flip it. All right, now let's get these blended properly. Sounds pretty good, might come back to that. I want to do a little more altering with this mic. I don't think we got it perfect. I like all that. Maybe we don't need a Neve. We need an API. So where are we gonna cut? Oh, I got an idea. We're gonna use all the above. All right, so we're gonna take all that out. We're just gonna give it a little bit of high pass there. Turn that into a peak. Gonna give it a little bit of love at 50. Ooh, I like that, but let's bypass that for now so we don't kill everything. Cut at 200-ish. Which, that should be good enough. Oh, that made all the difference in the world right there. I'll go back to the Neve. A little bit of that. Now that sounded pretty fucking good if you ask me. And let's fix the compressor. There we go. All right, sounds pretty good. Let's move on to the snare. No surprise, we're gonna be bringing in the Neve. Cut 160, get all that out of there. I'm gonna boost. I'm gonna boost the 250 there. There we go, bring a little brightness back. I do want to throw in an API for get rid of some of that muddy mud, kind of 300-ish. Turn that into a peak. We'll do 300 to 500. Oop, nice. Sounds awesome. Level match. And now we're gonna bring in my favorite compressor on snare, Empress Labs Distressor. So we got the Empress Labs Distressor. Let's go for 7 to 6. I want a little bit of that right there. Mix all the way up. I'm not a nerd. Whoa, too much. Match the level. That's pretty good. Give it some love from the tape. And match it output a little better. Sounds awesome. Match these a little more. Sounds good. Now let's go to the Snare Max ugly cousin, the bottom of snare. Little crispy crisps. Borrow some from the Neve, but we're gonna cut the shit out of it. So yep, that seems pretty good to me. Actually, cut that. I like that. Bring over the distressor. Give it some love. And bring over the tape. That all looks good. Now, because the two mics are pointing at each other, we gotta flip the phase. Flip the phase. Select them, let's get a good match. And there's our phenomenal snare sound. All right, so we got that going. Now I want to move on to the overheads. We obviously got them panned in a certain way, kind of how they were right above our heads. So I'm gonna start with the center one. Because we're gonna EQ them a little different from each other. No surprise, going to the Neve. I want to take a little bit of low end out, but not a lot. That didn't do much, but did a little. I'm going to cut. That felt good. Add a little bit of that. Ooh, there we go. We'll go to the API maybe. There's something I'm not liking. And that might have been it. Yeah, there it is. I don't like that. Not a fan of that at all. But I do want a little more sizzle. Now with overheads, you can compress them pretty hard. So we got those sounding fairly good. And then this is the center of head. So these other two are really gonna bring this thing to life. You're gonna see that Blake Pedracki method of overhead sounds fucking phenomenal when all three of them are together. It sounds like you're sitting behind the drum. All right, so with overheads, bring this up. I got the 8:1 ratio. Release is kind of your standard tax in the middle there. With overheads, we're not looking to compress the shit out of. Despite what a lot of people do, I like kind of natural sounding overheads. The room mics, I'll compress the life out of a room mic. But overheads, I want to keep a little natural. So we're just gonna get that needle moving a little bit. Here we go. That's exactly what I'm looking for. You can hear it really brings everything to life.
bring the tape in. All right, that was our mono overhead. Now, let's bring in those other two. And typically, you want to mix these together, even though they are looking at slightly different images. For just less stress, you want to mix these pretty much the same. Oh, that sounds awesome. Take out a little bit of the lows. Cut around 200-ish. All right, so now I want to boost, get some life breathing in here. Let's go pretty high. Let's go like 16K. Dude, I want to get up there. Yeah, there, get some shimmer. That sounds so good. All right, let's go to the API for some bands we don't have with the Neve. Not sure what yet. Maybe some 2 to 5, 2.5 we could try. Do that. Ooh, I like that. All right, now let's compress them. We can try to use the same compressor. I don't know if it'll work. They are hearing very different things. Whoa. Yeah. Turn that down. Here we go. Saw that needle jump just like how I want it. There we go. Close enough. Oh, you hear that tom? That sounds so good. All right. Now, let's get the tape going in here. Oh, that's too much. All right, now I'm going to add the center overhead, and this stereo image is going to shoot to life. I mean, that's amazing. I'm a genius for coming up with that. I probably didn't come up with it, but I'm still a genius. All right, so let's get these to a good mix. Probably right around there, we'll just guess. And then add everything else in. All right, that That sounds fucking phenomenal. All right, now let's get to the oddball stuff, like the toms. This is gonna sound stupid and tedious, but it's important. That's the room mics, obviously, or just the bleed from the overheads and stuff. Let's worry about the rack. All right, so we're gonna cut. Let's boost a little bit too. We'll try right around there. Add some. Ooh, I like that. Add some pop. Alright, sounds pretty good. Now, we're getting a lot of toms from these overhead configuration. So these are more just kind of blending in. So they don't have to sound absolutely perfect. I do want to cut some kind of low mid stuff. So we're gonna bring in the API. Look at that. An old, good old Neve API, the dynamic duo. Ooh, that sounds awesome. Take out some more of that. Match the levels. Yeah, alright. That sounds pretty good. Let's move on to the floor. Bring a little bit of the same over. Probably, honestly, just needs that. Sounds pretty cool, I think. We've got a pretty good mix of everything. Play this spicy bitch before we add the room mics, which are going to do a lot. All right, I think that sounds awesome. It's a great mix of definitely vintage inspired, but it doesn't sound bad, but it's definitely got a vintage character. So let's move on to these room mics. So I got everything panned kind of as if you were sitting at the drums. So the room I want slightly bigger. So we'll go 69. How about that? Ha 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 ha. I'm a goofy boy. All right. Just turn those up. Get those rocking. Now, the moment I put this plugin on, it's going to change everything. I don't know how they did this. Well, I do know they use lasers to measure the room and then use that to create an algorithm for the reverb. But, so we are going to be in this remic mode, which if you're in reverb mode, you just create a send like you would a regular reverb. There's no send. We're putting it directly on the track. So we go to drums. Let's go live. Stay in remic mode. Now, I know just from reading and being an absolute Nirvana maniac how they had the room mic set up. So we're going to go to this close mic, which currently are set up as overheads using 414s. We're going to use the C12, which is an old tube mic. If you click on it, they give you a description of the microphone. It's going to go right there. We're going to get this, and we're going to play with the balance. As far back as possible, which is apparently 8.7 feet. going to cut a little bit of low end there and bring that down. We're going to move on to the room ones, which were KM54s. Again, getting rid of some of the low in there, and then we're going to play with the placement. Again, I like it as far back as possible. Again, as much of that room as you can. Now, these room 2s, which are where this plugin comes alive. Use the U67s, pull that up. There it is. Cut that. Now let's, just for shits and giggles, let's, there we go. Move these around. Mess with the polar pattern. Alright, so now let's get a good mix. So you can time align all these microphones and get them perfect. I don't like that. That's not how a lot of those old recordings that were done at Sound City sound. They're not perfect. They're not going to line up perfectly, but sounds pretty fucking good. All right. So I like that balance. It sounds good. Everything's wet. We're in remic. Now you can mess with the EQ in the Sound City plugin. I don't think it's all that great. But again, there's EQ, compression, and a chamber. Anyway, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to use external EQs, probably the Neve again, but it sounds pretty fucking good. All right, now let's do some EQ. All right, so room, we're gonna clean up a lot of that low end. All right, I like that. Like how that sounded. I want a little crispy. Ooh, there we go. There's the money. Ooh, nice. That little bit did a lot there. Feeling like I want to cut some stuff. So let's bring in the API. There's a little bit of muddiness still going on, so let's try this. There we go. Cleaned it right up. Let's give it some love. All right, that's sounding amazing. Now with room mics, what you can do, you can crush the shit out of them with a compressor and it sounds amazing. So we're gonna bring up the CLA. Now on the 1176, the original units, you could push all 4 of these buttons in at the same time and it would basically turn into a limiter. It gives you a nice little bit of distortion. Here, you just hit all and let her eat. We'll show you what it sounds like without it. So that sounds fucking fantastic. All right, so let's get some tape up in here, add some glue, and then all we have left is the bus. All right, now watch this. Watch how fast just bringing up this room mic changes the entire mix. That changed the whole mix. It sounds amazing. Kind of flat and dull. Huge and gorgeous. It's night and day. All right, last thing I want to show you is some people would do this first and mix into it. I don't do that. I always add the bus last. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to track, new, stereo, aux input, create. The input is going to be a bus. And Pro Tools, you literally have 228 buses. We're just gonna make a stereo one, so 1 and 2. We're gonna change all these outputs. Instead of going straight to the master, we're gonna route it to go to the bus, then to the master. So just bus 1 and 2, and then do that for the entire drum mix. All right, and now all of these should be going to our drum bus. Which they are, and you can see we have independent control of our drums while maintaining the mix. Typically, you'll just keep that at 0 dB unless you need to bring the drums down altogether. So what we're going to do is we are going to do some bus processing. So first, I want to add an EQ. Now I'm going to use the Abbey Road TG Mastering. So I want to turn on everything but the compressor because I got something special for you. Let's just start with the input. Adds a little bit of sauce. We're going to add 15 IPS on the tape EQ, which is the speed of the tape. I like the amount of input. I don't need to boost any of that. I don't really need to do any of the stereo balancing. So I like that. Next, we're going to add the EQ. Just a little bit of love. Probably can't even hear it, to be totally honest with you. This, I want to cut a little bit of mud. Nice, I like that. That made me want to add a little more bass. And these are the frequencies. So 64, 362. Let's add a little bit of 64. Oh yeah, Daddy's liking that. All right. Add some life into here. I like that 2.6. That's sitting nice. Now this super kind of sparkly stuff. I like that. That's sitting nice. Yeah, let's move on to the high and low passes. Put that at 40. And the high probably won't mess with, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, it sounded fine. Presence. Yep, just won't even mess with it. It's fine where it is. Now the TG Mastering has this cool separator thing. So I'm gonna kind of plus right around 2 here, and I'll show you what that does. All right, so what that's doing it's using phase between the two speakers to kind of widen things. It really works well in this concept because we're using 3 overheads, so it's really doing a lot here. All right, final thing, kind of the creme de la creme on top of all this. We are going to use a Fairchild, right around 3 dB. This is going to be night and day. Hear how it just brings everything to life already? All right, so we're gonna mess with the input gain. Let's drive this thing, get some nice tubey compression goodness to round all this out. All right, now, in my very humble opinion, that's better than any drums you've ever got. So what I'm gonna do now, which you saw me doing a little bit there, is the mute test. So I'm just gonna mute certain things. If you can't hear it, you don't need it. And enjoy your fantastic sounding drums. Those toms sound awesome once you have everything blended in. So that is it for today. In the next video, we'll talk about guitars. Some of my favorite, I don't know, drums are kind of my favorite. So as you can tell, it starts from the beginning. Get good drums, tune them right, mic them well, do some pretty cool processing, and you have the best sounding drums of all your friends. So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video where we will add some guitars to this song.